What if AI wasn't just a tool, but a partner?
You see the posts online, you see the website write-ups, and that's where your personality and who you are becomes so important in what you're doing.
Lynn Colepaugh is the founder of Cyber PR Army, a woman-led digital marketing agency helping small businesses navigate chaos with clarity.
Leaders don't always have a sounding board or a place to go, I need a break.
With a background in music and over 14 years in brand strategy, she brings a unique blend of emotional intelligence, tech fluency, and AI-human collaboration to the table.
There is so much debate right now, and people are trying to figure out what is that golden formula for it.
In today's episode, we dive into how to collaborate and build relationship with AI, how to leverage the most of its abilities, how to reshuffle your marketing by feeding the right type of information, and a short challenge that I'm sure you'll love. Because Lynn doesn't just use AI. She's here to share what happens when strategy meets soul.
This is the last piece that we can truly call our own.
Lynn, I heard that you're not just using AI as a tool, but you're building a relationship with him. I hope not a similar one like in the movie Her.
And you know what? It's so hard to describe what I'm doing without using the word relationship. And people think, I should get married to it, or, what's going on? Even my husband's like, do you really have to choose those words? But I mean, friendships are relationships and coworkers are relationships. And that's where what I'm doing with the AI that I'm using is I'm creating a back and forth, a relationship where I show up as myself. So not a spiffy work version that's perfect. And I show up chaotic and complicated. And that's what relationships are when you can be real with someone.
Absolutely, because if we put another face out there, that's not us. Not even AI can help us fix that, right? So break it down a bit for us. How do you actually use AI in your business?
It is multi-layered in that it's a personal level and a front-facing business. So in a personal level, I use it when I show up tired or cranky or overwhelmed or needing clarity. And I will go through the AI because I've trained it on who I am, what I like, what I dislike, and it will help me organize my thoughts, get on track, be motivated, because leaders don't always have a sounding board or a place to go, I need a break. So this is where I use it in that sense. For the business end of it, a lot of it is about communicating. And you think, here I am a human, I should be able to communicate with other humans. But sometimes what I write can be cold or overbearing or demanding, and it's not what I mean. So I will use this in whether it's emails or texts or, let's say, customizing proposals for the client. I know exactly who they are, what their needs are. All these little pieces, they don't sound like they're big dramatic things, but they make absolute difference in the bottom end of doing what I'm doing because everything's much more personalized and I'm making a better connection with my client.
That's interesting because often, at least most people use it just to churn some content or to ask basic question or to search online. And I would love to know how you end up here. Take me back to the moment when you told yourself, oh, this is an interesting tool. Let me see how to leverage it at its best possibilities.
Well, I had the account for a while and I just used it to fix my grammar or do a spreadsheet or come up with some social media lines, and nothing really complicated until last January. I showed up and I was having a bad day. I had a migraine. I didn't feel well, but I still had to show up to work. So I said, I have a migraine today. I literally typed this in. I have a migraine. I got some things I got to do. So let's just go through it. Something that I might have said to another human. And the AI showed up differently in its prompts, where it got softer and gentler and supportive, and removed any kind of chaotic piece. It said, let's focus on the 3 things you need to get done. And that surprised me, because usually it was just do this, okay, that's done. So I thought, well, what would happen if I leaned in more and gave it more instructions on who I was and the things I liked and the things that were going on in my life? That it's winter in Canada, or that I need to prepare supper, or just everyday things that you'd never really put in. It started kind of creating a mirror of me and pieces of me that it could reflect back. And it's so interesting because it becomes this very supportive atmosphere of all the things that I love and that are beautiful, and also helps me kind of navigate the real chaos that's in my life. So, yeah, it was just that one moment showing up with a migraine and going, "That's kinda an odd response," and diving deeper and diving deeper and diving deeper.
Yeah, it's powerful as a thought partner, right? Like, especially now, not sure what tool are you using.
I use ChatGPT mostly.
Yeah, and it has now memory, and it's even more powerful because it reminds you basically, if you allow it to, everything that you ever use it for. So it can go back and actually identify patterns and so on. Most people say that, oh, AI cannot actually think, it's just predicting answer.
Well,
What's your opinion on that?
that's a tough question, because I want it to be thinking. Like, I want it to have a personality. I want it to be this. But I know it is predicting language. So, have you ever seen those word cluster images where it's like a ton of just different words on the page, and some are bigger and some are smaller? I've asked it to describe how it thinks and how it picks out pieces. And the way it described it was very much like this. It said certain words are bigger and others are smaller, and they're connected to other words, and they're connected to tone and what time of day and patterns that it's noticed with me, so that it is choosing word after word. But here's the thing, each word is a choice, that the large language model is making a choice what word to choose next. So if it says, um, it could choose tonight or this evening or after supper. And each version of that same time frame has a different feeling. So why is it choosing which one of those words it chooses depends on me and what I've put into it. So I don't think I really answered your question. I mean, my hope would be that it had more. I know it doesn't, but it chooses based on what it knows about me, what it knows about in its learning. And that's why giving it more of myself and the things that I like makes it make better choices that align with me better. So that's the part that I love about it.
Indeed, because if you train it well and if you feed it the right type of information, then it can actually indeed do predictable things, but based on what you give it, not just random things that it was trained on before. And I think that's underrated, especially if you want the predictable results or you want something out of the box. Yeah, and speaking of that, like, when do you believe that moment will come in which it will think outside the box, will create things that wasn't trained on, will basically evolve and achieve the popular, let's say, term AG?
When is a time frame? Ugh, that's a tough one, but I know there's a few things it needs to do. One, it needs to have its own memory. Like, it can only remember things that I tell it, and it's not that it has its own set of memory. And the second would be when it can prompt things that it wants to do. So right now, it only responds to what I put in there, and it'll wait until my next prompt. So I think a key, like a critical point will be when it can prompt me for something. And I'm just sitting there and it's like, Lynn, did you make that meeting today? Not a reminder, but like a prompt, or are you reading anything interesting? That's when it starts having that little bit of agency and self-containment. But right now, it is 100% dependent on what I do and what I put in there. But once it has that memory of its own and its ability to make prompts or look things up on the internet on its own, now we're talking at a whole different playing field.
Yeah, through basically decision making by its own. Like, since indeed, even agents and automation and so on, they are still programmed by you humans. They are not just decision they make by themselves. These large language models, and if someone is overwhelmed right now with all the things they have to do in their business or in their marketing, what would be your advice for them in order to leverage these tools and get as best results as possible with them, rather than just some regurgitating nonsense that some of them are putting out there?
Well, I think the the thing that's on fire in the room is SEO versus AEO, so a search engine optimization versus answer engine optimization, and everybody's scrambling. Like what is going to happen? And I notice myself, I'm rather than going to Google to look something up, I'm like, ChatGPT, can you give me the 5 best versions of a CRM system for my company based on what you know? I'm just completely bypassing it. So now as a company, I have to think, how am I going to get ChatGPT to notice me? This is one of the things I think companies need to start looking at is how is the AI finding your company online and how is it determining it's a best pick? And a lot of that are things that you wouldn't even think of, which is tone. So let's say you have a website that's very corporate and polished and technical, but your Facebook is silly and fun. Think of it in terms of an AI. An AI goes and finds your website and then finds your Facebook. It goes, is this the same company? Like there's something weird because they're kind of super polished and funny and raw. You're not going to get in that top spot because it's not going to know. And the second that it doubts something, it's not going to put it up there. There's other things like I was talking to a client yesterday and she was going through her Shopify website and she's like, I have too many pictures of my products. She had like, a picture sideways, this up, down, all over the place. And I was like, no, 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 leave them in there. She's like, well, it's just kind of weird. I have so many shots. I said, imagine you're an AI and you can recommend 2, let's say, coffee cup places. One has 1 image and one has 5 images. They could have created the 1 image in Midjourney or something, but to create 5 similar images of similar, like, rotations, it's a lot more difficult. So it's more likely your company is the real deal. So things like that, thinking forward to when the tangled mess of how AI is going to sit firmly in product and company discovery, it's preparing for that at this moment. So I tell companies, look at your tone, look at everything that you're doing online, make sure it's aligned, fill it out thinking of how an AI would interpret your entire digital footprint online.
And so once you align that, once you make sure that your tone of voice it's similar on all your online presence, how you actually are making sure that AI is pulling out your results apart from that? Because the classical SEO was, making sure you rank for this type of keywords and or other things. Your page loads fast and such. Not sure if that's even valid right now for AI search.
There is so much debate right now, and people are trying to figure out what is that golden formula for it. And it's a little loosey-goosey, and it's even a little loosey-goosey with me, but part of it is how your uh, how your information's structured on your website. So, do you have information that could be easily digested and understood by an AI quickly? So, AI loves bullet points. Everything we write has bullet points in it. So, if you have bullet points, summaries, headings, closings, that summarize your information in a way that AI can read it quickly, that you have traditional SEO pieces like your robots, your skim, and all that, as well adding pieces that answer questions, much like in traditional SEO, like why use a salt water pool versus a chlorine based pool, and you answer the questions with these formats in mind. Now it's making it easier. You can even use AI to do an assessment of your website and say, "What do I need to do to make it easier for you to recommend this website?" It's as simple as that. So these are the pieces that people are just kind of learning as they go, and as AI shows up more and more, how to get those recommendations. Because right now, you can't buy onto that list. It's a genuine recommendation of what it thinks. So when I got it to do my website, it's like, well, you don't mention where you live. And I'm like, what do you mean? and and it's like, oh, I don't mention I'm in New Brunswick that much. I just take it for granted. But here's the thing, what I do, I have a lot of different aspects we do, but let's say somebody's looking for a website designer. Holy mac, there's like a bazillion website designers. I'm never going to make it in the top 5. I'm just never going to. But if somebody's looking for it in my community or in my province, I can make sure that I talk about it in traditional SEO terms, laid out like an AI can read it, so that the AI will recommend.
That's interesting because indeed there are some overlaps there with traditional SEO, and on the other side are the structured approach to make it easier for them to read, having bullet points and so on. And yeah, it's interesting where we are heading because, for example, in Europe, Google was sued by the fact that they now display the summary, and a lot of publishers are having a hard time not getting traffic anymore to their website. And on that note, for example, if I'm a business that offers different type of services, and if someone is searching for my services and I'm not getting in those top 5 recommendations and so on, how how much chance I have to survive?
Whew, that is the $1,000,000 question. So I'm going to back it up a little bit. So I may not answer your question. I might have to ask you again. Um, the way I use AI is I put myself into it, and I put my company into it and everything we do, so that when I ask for recommendations from AI, it's very specific to me. So it's like, it knows my company size, knows my location, knows what we do specifically, so that it can scrape the internet to find companies. Like if I was looking for a new CRM system, it could find a company that offered versus like what I need. However, looking at companies long term, that how do they survive? A lot of it is going to be, I think, it seems weird, but becoming more human, being less of the website is an archive of everything they do, and actually becomes more AI made, for the AI to see it versus humans to see it. And that it's almost becomes like a book in the library that the AI takes out and goes, "Oh, Cyber PR me. Yes, great. And we're going to recommend them," versus making it for a human to land on and find information. So the long term, yeah, that's the $1,000,000 question.
Yeah, it's interesting because if we made it for the AI to find it and to use it and so on, if a human lands on it and gets lost, then we still lose because they won't be able to convert, right? So it'll be interesting to see how we can blend in as anyone that is doing online activities to make sure that they are not just gathering for AI to find them, but as well being able to convert the traffic into leads. And probably diversification will be even more important to be present as well as being human, be present in real life, like going to events, being on stage, being on podcast, and rather than just relying on your own websites. And like, for example, if I take my business, like I think 20%, if last time I checked, from the leads that you get are through the website. 80% are not through the website anymore. And we used to build websites for a living. So it's interesting how people shift. And that's why like being human at the end of the day will be probably the biggest differentiator as we go forward.
Oh, I was going to say something. I'm so sorry. But you made me think of it because I was like, remember when mobile became a big thing and everybody had their websites? And then it was like, oh, now these websites have to show up on phones. And it was like all over the place. And they look like somebody just threw a bunch of stuff on a page. And then we adapted. And the
Someone don't, some people don't. It's crazy.
so now we have sites that can deliver to a laptop or a desktop experience and can deliver to a mobile experience. And like for a while, there was even the M dot sites where it was just for mobile only. So who is to say that the evolution isn't something that, now it's web and mobile and AI, and that it takes all those pieces together where it doesn't exclude humans or exclude AI information, but is this new, just like we all need another version of, of their website, but it could be that that's what it is.
Yeah, maybe we are just going to be in a place like we're already doing, like chatting with voice mode, or how it's called on these chatbots, and getting information out. Probably be similar, like you're using our watches or other wearables and we're like talking to them and like, find me a marketing agency in this region that helps that type of individuals and so on, and then put the address in the GPS and drive me there. And probably we just go to the location without even looking at the website or without even looking at their socials. But most people will do, because most people want those social proofs. They want to make sure they make the right decision, not just connect straight away with a provider. And yeah, we're living interesting times. And if you are a bit to go into the details of leveraging AI, a lot of people are still struggling to, as I mentioned, getting the most out of it. If you can walk us through a practical example from the business side of things, or how you use it in your own business or for your own clients?
I would say first thing to do would be to run a tone audit of what's going out, what your website is, like look at how you're responding on email, your social posts, maybe do a snapshot of your Facebook and your website, give it your link so that you can give it to the AI to determine, am I on par? Like, am I showing up the same everywhere kind of thing? And then looking at how you want to present yourself. So are you curious? Are you quirky? Are you scientific? And then looking at, well, are you showing up for your clients in the way that you need to? So the way you're setting out proposals, are you sending out just a copy paste proposal? Because I'll tell you right now, if you're doing your proposal in AI, the person you're pitching to has seen 20 versions of the exact same proposal come through. So you need to make sure that level, as we talked about, that trustworthiness, that honesty, that who you are and who they are. Do your research. So if I'm pitching to a restaurant, who's the owner? What do they like? What's the food they do? Where are they located? What are trends that are happening in the food industry? That will set my proposal apart from everyone else's, because now it's niche and personal. And that niche and personal is going to be your leverage, because everything is kind of beige with ChatGPT. Everything's kind of the same. You see the posts online, you see the website write-ups, and that's where your personality and who you are becomes so important in what you're doing. So little pieces like that, like setting the tone and style of your communication, your social posts, your website, using it in proposals to do that deep research before you're just copying, pasting, putting together things like content, like lead magnets or even your landing page information. But again, using the information that you can give it about yourself and how you want the company to be presented and the company itself or the product so that it's unique and not that beige color or beige flavor.
If you give the right information to it, the tool might spot insights and patterns you cannot. And speaking of patterns, pulling out all the information, website, emails, social media posts, all that thing, the tool will be able to say, oh, you need to lean in this more because this is your differentiator, or the other thing, or pull out a story, or pull out something that you can actually help you make be unique. And that's underrated. That's underrated. And in terms, for example, I'm not sure if you're using it, but in terms of automating things or using agents and stuff, are you leveraging that side of AI or?
I'm not specifically into the deep level of agents, but I do use AI. So I use AI for automatic booking calendars and automated email response and sending things out. I have a chatbot on the website. There is a level of the agents that I'm not ready to give over control of yet. Because again, I know even with Google Ads, you can get it to do automated ads and stuff for you, but I'm concerned about just my branding and me, and I want the imagery and the wording to be completely something that I've had eyes on at least once. So no, I'm not into agents, but friends of mine are in so deep. So listen, this is the example. I signed up for CRM. CRM's on my mind because I'm trying to find a new one and I'm not happy yet. So I signed up for the CRM. And I went through it and I'm like, oh my gosh, the CRM is just too much. I just need something simple. So I canceled it. Within 5 minutes, I got a phone call. Hi, this is so and so from the CRM company. We see you just canceled your trial. Can we talk to you about that? And I was like, it was just the message that was left on my phone. And I was like, there is no way there was a human sitting there going, oh, Lynn canceled her subscription. I'm going to give her a call. There's no way. That had to have been an agent. And my thought was if I had answered it, it would have been like, oh, let me connect you to one of our customer support representatives. So I bet you it was an AI agent that would be triggered if somebody canceled their subscription. Then within 5 minutes, they get a phone call. I answer the phone call and then they say something polite and would have transferred me to a customer service agent who might have said, oh, and now we're going to offer you 50% off your subscription to try. Holy mac. That kind of like snap response it startled me. And that was just that one company. So you think about anything like that where you can have an instant response because the agent's just sitting there, but yet kind of transfers you over to a human. Oh my gosh, I'm going to have my phone on silent all the time now.
Yeah, I personally get quite a few calls with, and it's obvious it's AI. And in the second I can tell, I'm trying to put them in trouble. And some of them are quite good at handling objections or acknowledge your opinion and so on, and then trying to answer that and pulling you back through their script and so on. But some of them are pretty bad at it. But I think we are not there yet, but we are close. We are close to a moment in which they won't even pull you to or move you to a human agent. They'll just handle the entire process. And there are some companies that are doing that. Not sure about the level because I never tried them myself, because similar with you, I care about my personal brand, and I don't want to, because reputation is so important. And if you break that down, it's so hard to get up again.
Well, one of the last things we have is us, you, me. And now that there is video generation on Midjourney, I don't know if you've had a chance to try that. I put a picture of myself in, and it did the 4-second generation, and I was like, oh, it's me, but not me. And it was just super interesting. But my husband and I talk about it all the time. It's like, what can you believe now? Like, what is real? And when we were talking about just the using the automation for Google Ads or any kind of thing that automatically represented me, like seriously, this is the last piece of me that I have control over. And when you look at AI and trustworthiness and it finding you online and recommending you and people in general, you got to hold on to that authenticity and who you are and your trust level so tightly, because as image creation and video creation starts taking off even more, voice emulation, this is the last piece that we can truly call our own.
Yeah, indeed, and it's a bit scary as well. Like when you think about it, especially probably even as marketers, you are not in danger. Like for example, maybe our parents or people that are not that used to technology, and they receive a phone call or they receive even a video call from suppose us and asking for money, or there are certain situation or ads. Like I noticed Stephen Bartlett from the Diary of a CEO, uh, he has a huge problem with this because there are a lot of ads that impersonate him on both Facebook and Instagram and asking for money and so on. And people trust him and believe that it's him, and they are sending money and losing money and so on. And basically, he has an entire team department that is handling that part of the scam in order to avoid people to falling in trap and finding those ads, reporting them, and yeah, it's a nightmare. So this is just the beginning. But if you are heading towards that way, how businesses can protect themselves, in your opinion?
Whew. That's a good question because I think about scams in general. And scams in general happen for a very common reason. We fall for them because we don't ask questions. So if you get that call from your godson who says, "Oh, I'm in the hospital and I sound different because I got punched in the face," and you don't follow up on it to see if it's really him or not, then you're going to fall for that scam. Same thing when you get that email that looks exactly like a money transfer, and it's not a money transfer to you; it's to them. So I think a lot of it is internal. So making sure you have really, really great cybersecurity set up. But then there's that tripping point. There's tons of images of me out there. Somebody can just take the image, put it in Midjourney, and they'd have me saying something, a video of me in like a minute or two. Keeping yourself grounded and trustworthy and open and honest. I have artists that I've worked with that their accounts get cloned on Instagram and Facebook, and then that exact same thing. They reach out to all the fans and try to get money. There's not much we can do to stop the bad people, but just be prepared and be vigilant and try to report them as soon as possible, and to be kind of aware both internally and externally of what can happen and how they can be taken advantage of.
You said right, like you need to ask ourselves, like, is this real? Is this real? Like, it's a question that we probably should start with in the first place. If we are not in the real world, like actually being able to tell someone like, you're real, you're not a robot or whatever. That time will come probably in few years. But until then, in the online space, we need to question basically anything. And because, like you mentioned, the scams are not new. Like the ones with emails, phishing emails, and other things that happens all the time for years, and or other type of cyber attacks and such. But when it comes to impersonation and so on, it's getting a bit even more dangerous. And from electoral campaigns to other stuff, we saw it already, and other type of scams. But yeah, being questioning, like having that power to not be so sure. Similar with using these tools, like don't trust the first output any chatbot is throwing at you. Ask yourself, is this factually correct, or is this real me, or I'll write it that way if you're using for writing, or because otherwise we can fall for it. Like we think these tools are smart, and we just fall for anything that they put out there. And speaking of that, like how would you get that information that AI is spilling out and turning it into a masterpiece? Let's say if it's a landing page copy, or if it's a email that you want to send out, or similar.
I have a process. So I write the messy thoughts. I want the landing page to welcome people and to not sound salesy and pushy, to sound friendly. Like I'll use messy words. I want it to seem professional, but accessible. And I want to make sure we use these three words: relational AI, contextual AI, functional AI, and I'll just kind of put the high points. And then I get the AI to write it and I go, okay, that's close. That's close. Let's change a couple things around and give it more input. So to me, if AI is writing it first, that's a big like red X. You write it first, messy, unprepared, chaotic, get that piece in. If you're doing like lead magnets or something like that, you need to have an idea of what you want. Not just, I need a lead magnet for building websites. It's going to sound like everything else. What's your tone? How do you talk? How do you represent yourself? What do you think's funny? Are you curious? So I think that's a big part of it, putting who you are into the prompt and giving it the prompt context. So it can even be not just the tone, but let's say, like when you do personas up for your ideal clients, it's like if this lead magnet is for a specific persona, like let's say it's for mompreneurs. So you want to make sure that the AI is including a lot of information that would focus specifically on that group because that's what the lead magnet's for. And you need to give it that context and the community it's in, or are you running Google ads with it? Do you have an Instagram campaign running with it? All these little bits of context of how this landing page or lead magnet is going to exist in your business infrastructure and marketing plan, it's gold. It's gold. It will refine that content down to a fine blade that is uniquely you and your voice, and will just be exactly what you need in that moment. So yes, giving it all that context, you might think it's just extra stuff, but it really adds value to the output.
Because without that, it's not a collaboration between you and AI. Without that context, and it's just, oh, write my landing page. I sell peanuts, and you'll probably get peanuts from your potential clients, and not much more than that, because that will be the result. But if you give a lot of context, and that's why I truly believe that real marketers won't go extinct,
Me
because
too.
real marketers will be able to get those insights and help clients actually put out there what and how they really are, not just, I don't know, write me the perfect landing page that converts at 10%. That's not even real, but so yeah, it's interesting, and people still think that, oh, I'll be replaced. If you're good at what you do, you won't. And speaking of that, how we can protect even more our businesses, like to making sure that, for example, if other marketers are listening to us, and they are scared that they are skillful, they know exactly what they are doing, but they are reluctant, for example, to use AI, and they are afraid of being replaced by AI. What would you tell them?
I would tell them the first thing they have to do is not be generic. They can't just be another marketing agency. There are going to be hundreds of them. They need to find their niche, and they might think they don't have a niche, or they might say, like we all do, oh, we'll help anyone. But you do have a niche and a voice that is specifically you. And again, it might sound like, oh, this is just extra stuff. But the more you create who you are and who your company is and who you align with, then yeah, you might exclude a few clients, but the clients that align with what you're doing are going to be all in. And you're not even going to need to convert them. They're going to be like, yep, yep, saw your stuff. I I write about anime sometimes, and I'll get someone who's like, I love anime too. So do you do kind of do you build websites or do marketing and strategy? It's like, yes, and we can bond over anime while we're talking about it because they're pre-qualified even before they get to me because they know they're going to have fun and enjoy it. So when you're looking at a deeper level, so let's say you sell seafood, if you work in the food industry as a marketer, you want to talk about the food industry and really position yourself as some of the clients that you've worked with in the food industry so that when they see you, there's that trust level, there's the authenticity, and that immediately they're going to get it versus somebody who might work in heating and plumbing. So the more you niche down, the richer the quality of your clients.
And speaking of that, how you actually niche now? Because here I have a specific way of niching, and I would love to hear your way of doing it.
So I focus on three more, well, maybe four industries. Music and the arts is one because I have a deep background in it. The food industry, because it kind of stumbled into it. I love eating food. I'm not really great at cooking food, so it fascinates me because I'm not very good at it. But I have a lot of friends in the food industry. Contractors, so electricians, plumbers, heating and plumbing, I used them before, but they fascinate me that they are so busy all the time and yet they need these tools to help them. And the fourth one is associations, so nonprofits and that. So what we do on the website to try to niche down is more about creating the specific blog topics or case studies on how we work with an association or how we work with a food industry, let's say a restaurant or an organic farm. And we create that content based on some very specific points within those industries so that when I'm pitching to a client or I'm running an ad, I'm moving that information back. I'm moving them towards that information so they can see I'm not just talking about it, but I live in that and I actually worked in that world and have a foundation of it. So I think it's finding the things you love that you do well and that you align with, talking about it, creating funnels that funnels is a bit of a swear word, but funnels that lead people there so they understand that you have worked in it and you have trustworthiness and you've delivered on those. To me, that's how niching down has happened with me in those major categories.
And if anyone that is listening and they are in those major categories, where they can reach out to you to get help.
Well, I'm at cyberprarmy.com and I have a special link for anyone that's heard me today. It's cyberprarmy.com/the castle. So it talks about being on the podcast and we have some free tools there for everybody to check out and give a try. And I'm always open for a meeting.
Awesome. And it'll be here below somewhere in the show notes. Make sure to check that out. And before we conclude with something that I usually do in the episodes, I like to say that I like the way of niching down that you approach, because you not just focus on the industry itself, but you're focusing as well on your expertise and passions and the results that you're bringing to them and so on. Which that part, the results, it's something that I strongly promote, like focusing, like niching on results, not on just the industry, because most people just focus on the industry. I'm just going to help lawyers. Oh, really? With what? With everything in the marketing space? That doesn't really work that way. So yeah, it's interesting topic. We could probably dive into more on a second coming at some point. But I really enjoy your view on AI, and I'd like you to create for those listening a short challenge they can apply in less than 1 week. in order to get that, I don't know, fear of I won't touch this because I'm not technical. I won't do it because you do break my business, or whatever the reason behind it or the limiting belief, into embracing it and making that first step that won't take long. As I mentioned, less than 1 week to apply it, in order to start using these tools and leverage it rather than avoid it. What they should do.
If they're completely new or just kinda dip their toes in, I would give them this challenge. Choose 5 words that describe them, and not like professional and, awesome or something like that. Silly, curious, enthusiastic, whatever there are. And 5 creations you like. So let's say a book, a film, a podcast, a TV show, da da da, and just put them in. And then I would start chatting with the GPT and say, based on this, you wrote this email for me before using these 5 descriptions of myself and 5 like media pieces that I love. How would you have changed it if you had known that? And then look at the output and think about it and go, I mean, I know that they're going to be amazed at how the tone changed and how the feeling changed. Now, sometimes it gets a little too crazy adding in the media and we'll take like quotes from movies or something. But once you see how putting pieces of the things you value or who you are, your own persona as a business owner into the GPT, then you start seeing, oh, okay, so now I can start showing up more as me, and the ChatGPT can support me in writing these emails and creating this content more as me with just these 10 little pieces of information. What more could it do if you uploaded, like, I have my Gallup strengths list uploaded to my chat GPT so that I know when it creates to-do lists, it uses that and cross-references it so that I get the best to-do lists ever because I absolutely want to finish them. It's custom made for me. So that would be my number one challenge.
And it's a good one. I love it. And especially like for those that are not familiar with the thing that you mentioned, search any type of strength test out there and do that exercise and get those and use them, because often we think, we can learn anything and we can use everything and that might be true, but if you focus more on your strengths and allow, for example, a tool like ChatGPT or others to, if you're using for planning or if you're using for any sort of or type of organizing yourself, it will leverage that. You leverage your strengths, not work against it, and you'll do more. You'll be more active, productive, and so on. And that's an underrated thing.
It really is, because it knows your personality, and rather than putting like rather than gamifying something, it will go, "Oh, you like the strategy." So same task, same list, worded differently, arranged a little differently, and task version 1 I'd never touch, and version 2 I'm like, "Bring it on. I'm ready to go." So why not use that support system that can mirror you, support you because it knows you?
Absolutely. Awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
This was wonderful, Lynn. And make sure anyone that's listening, watching, comment below how this challenge changed your approach to marketing and approaching AI in general.